Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to you, and thank you for tuning in to CW Iowa Live. Jackie Schmelin here, sitting with attorney Mike Jankins, who is here to talk bankruptcy with you this morning. And we're going to be doing a test. Don't run away. This is a test you want to know about because we're figuring out income requirements to qualify for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Right. Okay, so there's something called the means test. It has two parts. So break this down. What exactly does this mean?
Well, we're going to only talk about part one today.
Part one, okay.
Next time we'll talk about part two.
Perfect.
So part one of the means test, when you are determining whether you can qualify income-wise to file bankruptcy, is that we have to find out what your income is for your family, your household size, and then that is compared to the median income for your family here in the state of Iowa.
Okay.
So in every state it's different.
They've declared what it is.
There's information that comes out. I have no idea how they come up with it or exactly where it comes from, but it's supposedly based on census data.
Okay.
And then this income changes about 2 times a year. Early in the year, they
really?
modify it,
Okay.
and then it goes up and goes down based upon, I guess, what people are doing out there working in the economy. Mm-hmm. So we have to figure out what the family income is. Now, what's very important is the number of people you have in your family. So a single person making so much money doesn't have the same necessarily earning power if they're making a certain amount of money as if they had 3 kids on that same income.
Okay,
so
makes sense.
The more people in the family, the higher income you can make and still have bankruptcy.
Okay.
And so when we're talking about this first part of the test and this median income parts of things, if you're below the median income for your family size, you get to have a Chapter 7 bankruptcy.
Okay.
And then all other inquiry stops. The part 2 of the test, where there's an actual formula that you have to pass that's very complicated, that doesn't even come into play.
So what happens if you hit the mean or you're over it?
If you're over the median income, that's when you got to apply this formula that's rather complicated and we'll deal with next time.
Okay.
And,
math next time, not today.
And then if you pass that formula, then you can have a Chapter 7. So many people do pass it, but some people don't. So you just have to go through the analysis. But we're always hoping that people can get below the median income. They don't have to worry about the formula.
Right.
Now, in calculating how many people in your household, you just can't recruit people to start living in your house and go, my household's 10, I'm in.
Come on over, I need to work on my numbers.
They do sort of scrutinize how many people you claim in the household. They sort of use a phrase, it's how many heads on the beds, but that isn't completely accurate either.
Okay.
So the typical scenario is going to be single person or single mom and a couple kids, so that'd be a family of 3. Husband and wife, 2 kids, family of 4. So these are more traditional, easy ways of looking at it, but some people get divorced. So then in that situation, they each, if they're going to be filing a bankruptcy, get to utilize their children. So if dad doesn't have custody of the kids, they don't live with him full time, but he's got 3 kids and he's paying child support, which the child support component isn't critical. He gets to claim those 3 kids as part of his family, so he'd be able to have a family of 4 in determining how much income he can make.
Would that be true of a college student? They're not physically in the household, they're away at college. Would you still be able to claim them?
Yeah, if college kids, you can still claim those as part of the household. So if the parents have a couple kids at Iowa and Iowa State, at that point they can still be claimed in the household size. And so they're usually helping those kids through college, so they probably need to anyway.
Right.
Now, there's other situations where folks have kids, but they're not married, so they may not be living together. So if you have a child or children and they're not living with you and you're paying child support, or even if you're not, again, you get to claim those children as part of your household size.
Okay.
And so a single person could have a family of 3 or 4. Now, in addition to just the traditional children, sometimes an elderly parent is living with the family because they're not able to care for themselves any longer, and so they can be claimed. Now, sometimes that's scrutinized a little bit. If they're getting a Social Security check, sometimes there'll be an inquiry as to whether any of that money is being committed to the household. But a lot of times, the reason the elderly parent's living there is because they can't live on their own financially. they probably have a very low Social Security check and have lots of medications they got to buy, so they probably need every dime of their Social Security for themselves.
But you'll be able to help people out figuring all
Sure.
those specific things. Okay, so you said the median changes twice a year. Where are we looking at right now?
Well, right now, the median income chart for a single person, it's $46,009, which isn't too bad. For a family of two, it's $60,872, which again, it's not too bad. A lot of people make under that. Family of three, so your husband and wife have a child, $71,685. And if the family has two kids, family of four, we're up to $81,697. So most families in that scenario are going to qualify. But again, if there's pretty good jobs involved, it could get iffy.
Okay.
Now, if the family size grows beyond that, they stop putting exact numbers on it.
Oh, they do.
For every child, for every number above 4 in the household, then you just add $8,400 more to the median income per person.
Okay.
So about a family of 6, you're over $100,000. So there's a lot of people that are making $100,000 and have 4 children in the household. And so under the old way of doing things, most people wouldn't have figured, boy, we make $100,000, we can get a bankruptcy, and that's what Congress was actually trying to prevent, the higher income earners from getting Chapter 7 bankruptcies, but that sure didn't work out the way they thought with this formula. Now, in calculating this formula, it's a snapshot of income, and so you got to figure, well, how do you get to this median income?
Okay.
Well, you take the exact 6 months of income that's been earned for the 6 months prior to the month of your bankruptcy filing. So right now we're in the month of August, so the 6 months for folks who are filing this month is February 1st to July 31st. So if you're on a salary, well, that's easy. You make the same amount every paycheck, no big deal. But some people, they don't make the same amount. They get periods of overtime. Some people get a bonus that might fall in that 6 months and skew the 6 months. They may not really earn what that 6 months suggests because they got a one-time bonus in there, $4,000 or $5,000. And when you take this income, you then divide it by the 6 months, and that gets you a monthly gross.
So you can't look at back taxes or anything like that. It has to be the 6 months leading up to the bankruptcy.
Right. It's the gross income that you've made for the 6 months.
Okay.
So you divide it by 6 and get a monthly average, and that's your monthly, and then you multiply that times 12, and that's how you get your annual income, and that is what you compare to the median income that we've been talking about.
Okay.
So if a bonus falls in there, in effect, it doubles it, because if you got a $5,000 bonus and you're dividing that by 6, there's an assumption in the formula that you're probably getting it in the next 6 months too, but you're not. So the impact doubles. So timing can be very important on when the 6 months is going. Sometimes we'll have a client that isn't below the median income during the 6 months we're looking at, and in another month or two, a bonus could drop out because it's a moving target. It keeps moving forward, and it becomes more important, not so much on the median income, but if you have to take the means test, it's the second part, and you can't pass it because of these odd groupings of income that fall in there. Sometimes waiting can change it from being able to pass or not being able to pass. So timing can help you, and sometimes it can hurt you. If you don't get a file at the right time, you may pass today, and a month from now may not. So those are things that you got to be aware of.
How about unemployment? If people are, getting unemployment checks, does that count as income?
So the things that make up income are generally your wages. That counts. Unemployment doesn't count. So I think one of the reasons is because that isn't a permanent thing. The government gives you so many weeks of unemployment, and that's it. And you may still be unemployed, and then you have none, or they can be extended, but they don't count that. Another type of earnings, well, I wouldn't say earnings is the right thing, but another type of income that people get is Social Security, lots of people, and Social Security disability. That is not counted as income either. I'm not sure why they did that, because there's other disability. VA disability counts. So people that went to war and went to fight for our country and got injured, that income counts, but people that just got sick and got Social Security disability, that doesn't.
Wow,
so,
that's interesting.
I don't think it was really thought through very well. Then disability insurance that somebody gets, if you're on long-term disability or short-term disability, that counts. Child support and alimony count. If you get pension, a regular pension check, so someone's already drawing on their retirement, those monies count. If you're self-employed, then the income you count isn't the gross, because there's costs of earning the income that a wage earner doesn't have, so it's actually the net. So you take your gross money that's been received for the 6 months, you take out all the costs of operating the business,
okay,
and then the net or the profit is what you actually then use as the gross figure to plug into this means test for the median income.
And I know you're talking about bonuses and how time can hurt you. We're looking at that 6 months beforehand, but there are some exceptions.
Yes, there's situations that during the 6 months, we have people that have been unemployed for 3 or 4 of those months, and then good luck befalls them, and all of a sudden they're making a $100,000 a year job, and they pass the means test, or actually they're below the median income because they only got that income for 2 months out of the 6. But going forward, the court will also look at what is your current income now that you filed your case, and so they can actually go back in when somebody was below the median income and say, well, that isn't the situation now, it's not really a true picture, so we're not going to let you have a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. You might want to consider Chapter 13.
Okay.
And the reverse of that is, if you had a really good paying job during 3 or 4 of the 6 months and you've lost it, and at the time you file you're unemployed, or at a much lower income paying job, they will also look at that, so they don't force you to be dwindling along in the 6 months just waiting until the numbers work out right. If it's a permanent situation that's changed, they will do a waiver basically and let you have your bankruptcy, even though the numbers would suggest you shouldn't be able to under this rigid formula.
All right, so that's just part 1 of the means test. Next week we're going to give you part 2. There might be a little math involved, but we're going to find out what happens if you happen to meet or go over that median
Just bring
number.
your calculators.
Just bring your calculators. We promise it'll still be fun. Mike Jankins, a lot going on here. If people have more details or have questions about those details, where can they find you?
You can call me on the phone. Be happy to talk to you at 255-1855, or you can find me on the internet at www.iowa-bankruptcylaw.com.
There you go, and see if you have what it takes to qualify for Chapter 7. We'll learn more about that next week. All right, you're watching CW Iowa Live. We will be right back.